Okay, so hi everyone. Welcome to our second bonus session. This is specifically created for you to practice conversational English, applying technical vocabulary. So, we are going to be recreating a Scrum session. Ivan and Rostan will be guiding this. But in case you got any questions or you want to engage as part of the Scrum session, you're welcome to. Just raise your hand, and either Ivan or Rostan would lead you and would lead the way. So, in case you have any question regarding trainings, regarding our community, we are here, Monsi and myself, at any time. Well, tomorrow is a holiday, so in case we don't get back at you like really quick, don't worry. Maybe on a Saturday we will. But other than that, we're always trying to get back to you as soon as possible. So welcome and thank you. Vanderson, welcome. So thank you all for joining us.
Hi, good
Hi.
evening for all. Sorry for my delay.
It's okay. Never apologize for having your kids in meetings. This is this is also, and thank you for that, Vanderson. This is another cultural thing you're going to be learning. Never apologize for having your kids around, as well as never apologize for your accent. So these are very important things on your life, in your life. So never apologize for it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay. Let's start our session. Ivan, go ahead.
Okay. Actually decided, well, to apply the same concepts that we have normally in the Scrum process or the Agile process, that it's to adapt to what is going on. So in this case, I decided to adapt my presentation. I'm going to make a little introduction to how the regular process, the Scrum process, work. Obviously, this is not going to be like a master class, but just the basics, so that we are on the same page. Um, show you this. Okay, you're all seeing my screen. Okay, the basic thing about Scrum is that we are trying to develop a product based on really short periods of time, where we try to focus on one specific functionality, or like one specific category of our project. And after that's completed, we go back to the main list of functionalities or requirements that we have, and from there we pick a new number or a new set of tasks or requirements, and begin working on that. Okay, so the starting point for that is the user story. If you haven't heard about that, it's used. If we go back to like the regular old engineering, the user stories is used interviewing the user, trying to understand what they are looking for, and you have to answer some pretty basic questions. Like the first one is, what does the user wants to do? Like, I want to be able to find the summary of all my bank accounts into a single listing. Okay, that's what he's looking for, and I'm gonna register that inside the user story. And once I have that, I'm gonna analyze that user story and try to translate that into specific tasks. Okay, so what tasks do I need to be able to fulfill that? So now I'm translating that user requirement into something that is uh, could be transformed into code, or into a specific component that I need to include in my piece of software. Okay, so in this case, I'm gonna go back and check. Okay, since the user wants to have a list of all his bank accounts and be able to show that, okay, the first thing, I need a database to be able to store that. Where, in which format? That's the first task. Create the database. The second task could be probably create the data structure or the tables for that information. The following task could be create an API to be able to get the list of information that is inside the table. The next task could be define the basic design for the page, etc., etc., etc. Okay, we go back to that. Obviously, we're gonna end up with a huge list, probably like 100 tasks, but that's not something we're gonna be doing just in one session or in one sprint. So we are gonna be focusing on deciding what can we achieve during the sprint, okay? Which is this small cycle. This is just a small development cycle, which normally is handled between 2 to 4 weeks, no more than that, okay? Because otherwise you're not going to be able to have something to show. That's one of the most important things about the Scrum process. You always have to have a deliverable product, something that you can show, okay? If it's not something complete, at least it has to be a prototype. If it's too complex to create a prototype, it has to be at least documentation. If it's not documentation, it's going to be at least the design. You get the idea. Something has to be shown at the end of that cycle. If you can't, if you after analyzing everything, you say, no, I can't deliver anything, then you're probably not doing the right process. You're not destructuring or creating the individual elements correctly. That's like one tip that you have to keep in mind whenever you're working on Scrum. You can always find a way to show what you have been working on. Okay, and the main idea behind this is to be able to show something to the user. So hey, this is how the final piece of software that we're gonna build is gonna be looking like. Do you like it? And probably you're gonna get some feedback. No, well, not probably. You are gonna get some feedback from the user, and say, hey, no, I don't like it. Could you move the screen to a different part of the website, or could you use a different font size, a different color combination? And the best thing about this is that you didn't have to wait until, I don't know, the regular workflow that would be, if you remember the waterfall model, after 6 months, you go to the end user and he says like, I don't like it. Could you change the colors? I was like, it took me like 6 months to get to this point. Okay, so instead you show something, he says, no, please change it. And hey, at the worst case scenario, it only took you like 2 weeks to get that in place. But obviously, normally it's not that kind of huge changes, only smaller changes. Yep. So that's the main idea behind a Scrum session. And if you check the rest of the process or the rest of the flow, we have 2 different elements that I'm probably going to try to include into this session, which is the sprint review and retrospective. Those are really, really important things. Because one of the things that normally happen during a Scrum session is that maybe you're not going to be able to include or to complete all the tasks that you intended to do. Like I selected 20 tasks, but I was only able to finish 15. What happens with those extra 5 tasks? Those get moved to the next sprint. Those get moved to the next session, and it's all right. It's not a problem, okay? But you have to understand why that happened. Maybe you need more people, or maybe it was too complex. You're not analyzing correctly all the pieces that are going to be in your project. So that's where the retrospective comes into place, because that's actually pretty much a regular conversation where the owner of the product or himself or the manager of the project is talking with developers and if we can include the client as well. Say, hey, what did we do wrong? What did we do right? And what went right? What went wrong? And how can we improve? So that you're improving every time, and each improvement is happening after 2 weeks, not after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Okay, so that's why those retrospective sessions are really, really important. Those happen at the end of the process. Like after those 2 weeks, you're gonna take one day to say, "Hey, let's talk about what happened. Why we weren't able to complete that. Do you need more information, maybe, or maybe the team needs more training?" Okay, so you get the idea of what needs to happen at that point. Okay, and then we go back again to the whole process and selecting new tasks and working overtime, trying to improve the whole process and get to build things in a better way. That's one common misconception. A lot of people think that when we talk about agile, is about being fast. It's not about being fast. It's being able to adapt and change easily. That's the main goal. That's what we are looking for. Okay? That's what being agile means. Not being fast, but like if you're playing a game and a ball is coming your way, you're gonna be able to avoid it. Like move your head. That's the idea, because you're checking every time what's going on. Okay? So that's pretty much kind of my quick summary of what Scrum is. So we're gonna go back to what we intended at first. Oh, by the way, anyone has any questions? I know a lot of you said that you haven't worked in a Scrum process like this before. Okay.
Ivan.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
How are you? I am Omar. I wanted to ask something. I am working in a company where they are using waterfall.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so but I wanted to tell them and explain them how how can how can we use a Scrum, for example, or a Kanban format, but they it's like they avoid this topic. And but if I want to explain better what is the mainly difference between waterfall technique or framework or and Scrum, what should be, because in waterfall, even the boss can say, I want this weekend, I want that you give me this estimation on this jar, maybe deployed, something like that. But in Scrum, you have something similar with your deliverable. Okay, so what is the mainly difference between these frameworks or way to work?
It's a framework, but okay, I'll try to answer the best that I can. First of all, it's not that one is better than the other. Okay, because some people say, hey, no, you have to be agile because that's the new thing and that's the right way to do things. Not really. It all depends on your project. Because if you have a really structured project that has all the elements, all the information already researched, and the requirements have been gathered, you have like a full plan, you can use waterfall without any issues. It's gonna work. It's gonna be a good one. But what happens when you're building something that needs to change over time? That's what happens with a lot of startups, because you're going to be testing things along the way. like in this case, hey, let's build a new functionality for the users and see how it goes. Okay, you build something in 1 month, you test it out, and then you say, hey, it's not working as we expected. The users are complaining that maybe we needed a better way to collect payments or to show the summary of the information they have. Let's work on changing that and going into the different um, scope. Okay, so then you can say, okay, let's schedule that for the next sprint. You see the difference? Because everything is changing quickly. That happens a lot in the startup world. But in a regular company, let's say a bank, probably not, because the processes are already set up. Everything is already like going the same way. Then why would you need an agile process? Okay, so it all depends on what the company wants. If you want to get feedback constantly, like to be able to build something with your users, then probably any of the agile methodologies is going to be a good option, either Kanban or Scrum or even the lean method that's going to work. Does that sound like a good explanation for you?
Yes, Ivan. I think feedback, having continuous feedback is it's something remarkable. I think too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because if I make a daily meeting every day, I will be just like online looking for solutions for any log I have, and I will not to wait until the Friday, or maybe something that I can say to my boss. Maybe Friday I can say no, but the guilty was from that person that I was waiting for his information. He never gave me, but in the end of the week. But if I have the daily meeting, I will express this necessity quick. I think it's important that.
Yep. Let me show you. Let's get moving a little bit. One of the things that Omar said, and that's part of the regular process. Once you have your sprint running, you need to have some specific meetings. The first one and the basic one that we normally have, and it's what we're going to be talking about right now, is the daily stand-up meeting. Anyone knows why is it called the stand-up meeting? I want to hear some opinions, or what do you think it could be, or why it's called like that? Anyone has any idea?
It has to be a short meeting.
Exactly. Nowadays we have it online and we use these electronic tools, blah, blah, blah. But back in the day when this was first used, the idea was to be standing just in a single room with all the participants, with all the members of the team. And obviously you don't want to be standing the whole time, like a half an hour or an hour. The idea is to have like 10 to 15 minutes meeting to answer 3 questions. What you did last time or what you did yesterday, what are you going to be doing today, and do you have any blockers? Do you have any issues that are preventing you from completing what you're doing? Okay, so that's what you need to answer. The regular flow was meant to be 1 minute per developer, per person, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, sometimes it can be a bit more than 1 minute. It could be up, depending on the team, it could be up to 5 minutes, but no more than that, no more than 5 minutes. If it's taking more than 5 minutes, then you need to create a new session, like, hey, let's take this offline, let's talk between you and me and see what's going on. How can I help you to solve this problem or to get out of this uh, issue that is blocking you. Okay? So that's the main idea. Okay, so let's jump into the sample stand-up session. In this case, I created dashboard. There's a lot of different tools that you can use. The first one, or the most common tool that, I don't know if I might be wrong, but I think probably about 80 to 90% of the companies in the States use Jira from Atlassian. A lot of people hate it, but yeah, it works. It's pretty much the standard, the de facto standard. Okay, I can actually show you a little bit about that, but it's pretty much the same thing. In this case, this board that I'm using was created in Trello, which is like the smaller version of that same tool, where you have these columns or cards where you can see all the different tasks, all the different stages where it's currently located. Okay, so remember I told you about the backlog, which is like the really long list of pending tasks. It's like your wish list. Okay, someday I'm gonna do all of this, but once I get to that point, when you start your sprint, you only select a specific amount of tasks. Okay, which is, in this case, you see, it's a smaller list compared to this one. We have a lot more in this case. Oh, this looks kind of big because of the text. I added more text to give it as an example. Okay, and one of the things we have included here, this could be a regular sample. One of the things you have to do normally for sprint is to select a goal. No, okay, for this sprint, what are we going to achieve? What are we going to be working on? Okay, in my case, I'm talking about an imaginary system that we're working on. Okay, so we are replacing the legacy payment system. We're using another one, and we are going to replace it with whatever we're building. Okay, so in our sample, I have 4 team members. I'm gonna be working as pretty much as the team manager, but I'm also a developer. That can happen. Normally, Scrum teams are kind of small. Could be something between 4 to 10 people, no more than that. But if you're in a big company, you could have several Scrum teams working on the same project. Okay, so handling different things. In our case, okay, so we have Manuel, we have Rostan, we have Penela, and obviously I'm inside of that. Okay, so one of the things we have to do first, the backlog, the sprint backlog is what we have pending during this specific sprint. Oh, sorry, let me move this. The rest of the things that we have, the development, or we can even change the name of this specific card. Sometimes we just call it in progress. It all depends on the team, but it's the same idea. It's the section with the things that we currently are working on. Okay, and the idea is to have it limited. That's a combination between Kanban and Scrum, but normally you have a limit, like no more than 4 tasks per column in this case. Okay, because otherwise it's a lie. Like, I don't know, if I ask you and you're telling me, hey, I'm working on 11 tasks. My first question is going to be, like, are you sleeping at all? Because then that's not real, and you're not able as a human to be working on 11 tasks at the same time. So we are focusing on this. That's why we need also the daily meetings, like what I was saying just a minute ago. So let's get into this. We're gonna simulate that, and in this case, let's say we are at the beginning of the day. Normally, you could do it at the beginning of the day, or maybe around 9 or 10 a.m. It's not something fixed, but it has to be decided by your whole team. for example, I've been working on a team where we are located in different parts of the world. There was a guy in Brazil, another guy in Argentina, and another guys that were in Russia. So we had to agree, like, okay, for you it's like 11 a.m. For the guy in Brazil, for the guy in Argentina was around 11 or 12 as well. For me it was 10 a.m. But for the guys in Russia, it was like 10 p.m. It was really late for them. But we needed at least to get together once during the day to be able to talk about this thing. Okay. So in let's start with our spring session. Okay, Rostan, could you tell me what's your status for today?
Hi. Yes, for sure. Okay, so first, yesterday I was working on this ticket called create a new widget, right, using Vue.js. But I have a little block in that one. I guess that is the second point. When I'm trying to working on the replace the previous version of the React of the component that we had in React, I figured out that we don't have the POC or the design of this, or maybe some changes that I need just to handle for this new version. So I'm blocked. I just want to be sure that it's just move the same behavior, the same design to the view component. If that is the case, I guess that I can continue with that.
Yeah, I saw that change. And yeah, to begin with, we can go with the old design, but probably you should connect with Danny to check if we are going to change the design, or we want to make it look better, since we are going to be rewriting that component. I would suggest let's create a new task so that you can check that out.
Sure.
So for the time being, I'm going to assign that to Danny so that she can check it out, and also tag you so that you can follow up later. I would suggest that you uh, schedule another meeting probably
Yeah.
for later today so that you can discuss that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
but in the meantime, just keep on working on that on that widget update with the old design. That's gonna be it.
Meanwhile, okay, for sure. So because I was blocked with that task, I moved to another one. So right now, I mean, I start to work on this other one with the title "Build the new calendar component" that will be shared among the different applications. Must be reusable. So I'm on that right now. No blockers for that one, and I can continue. Then we can schedule a meeting later. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. What about you, Manuel? What are you working on?
Hi, I I have been working with the new implementation of the library Zappa. There is a real good library. I've been reading the documentation. It's so clear. I have the structure of the new API. Now I'm migrating the JSON payload to the new structure. So I will finish that today, and I will start testing.
Okay, what about this task? Do you have it in here about updating the fixtures? You have it on code review. You need help with that? Uh, that has like a couple days already.
Yes, maybe we can have a meet to take a look of that. I have some question about that. Maybe we can improve that code.
Okay, I'll check it out and schedule a meeting with you so that we can talk about that over this afternoon probably.
Okay,
Okay.
great.
Mhm. On my case, I'm gonna be also working with you, Rostan, on the calendar component. I'm not completely sure about the estimation that we have because we have about 13 story points, so it's gonna be complicated to finish that during this sprint. But let's try to split this and create different tasks to be able to lower that number. Also, I need to talk with Danny about the new information page that we're going to show to the users. Do you think you'll be able to finish that today, Danny?
Sure, I'm talking right now with our content writer. He's mainly has like his documents and draft. I could review them today and give you an answer by the end of the day.
Got it. Then we'll check it out. Seems like we might have some bandwidth to be able to complete a couple extra tasks. So I was thinking about getting something from the backlog. Yeah, what about this task about creating a recommend to a friend widget? Do you guys think we can include that into this sprint? Should be fairly easy, I think. Go ahead, Danny.
So for this widget, do you need any heads up or like on a design? Do we stick with our previous draft that we had, or is there like a new requirement there?
Yeah, the idea is to get a new design, but since we have been dragging that for about 4 weeks, probably we can move forward with the basic design, and in the
Yeah.
meantime create something new.
Yeah,
Let's do
sure.
something.
Mhm.
Let's try to estimate this. We're going to be using the Scrum Poker that we have. Check. Okay, so we're missing Rosten.
Oh, please, can you share me that link?
Yeah, I'm gonna share the
Awesome.
planning poker link so that you can also vote.
Thanks. Great. Amen.
Okay. So we're gonna be discussing this new functionality. We need to build a new widget, and if we can, we should be storing the name and the email from each of the friends that you're gonna be sending this link to. So probably you're gonna need a new table and a new endpoint for that. I think that's it from my perspective. Let me know if you have a different idea. So just
Sorry, Ivan.
Oh.
The idea, yeah. A quick question. From the backend, we're gonna send an email, right?
yeah, we're gonna be sending an email
All right.
and saving that information into our database because we want to get more leads from that.
Awesome.
We have to design and implement the tables in the APIs, correct? Right?
But should be a simple structure. Shouldn't be something too complicated.
Pretty straightforward, I guess.
So if you're ready, just vote. Go ahead and vote. Okay, we have everyone estimation. We can rebuild the cards. Okay, so overall we have an 8. Manuel, you're saying at 13. Why? Why do you think it's going to be more complicated?
I think that we can have to do some testing, and maybe that will take time.
Yeah, probably. But we already had something pretty similar last time, so I think we can get away
Yeah.
with that.
Also, I remember that we made some layers to handle the emails, and I guess that could be pretty straightforward. Those layers were tested, so You don't have to
Okay,
be
so
worried about it.
Okay, I'm fine with A2.
Right.
okay.
Maybe
And
maybe you need to put like some of your tasks, like code review tasks, like out of your way.
yeah, probably that's gonna help. Okay, so that means this is going to be an 8, and we are gonna be updating that. Okay. The only thing is that we need to work on the front end and the back end as well. That we have
Mhm.
to probably we're gonna be needing to create checklists or more subtasks. I'm just recording what we talk about. I think that's pretty much all that we need. I'm gonna move that to our sprint backlog so that we can continue working on that during this sprint. If not, we will be moving it to the next one. But let's try to focus on that and get it done by the end of this sprint. Okay. And I think the testing of this Stripe integration went well. So yeah, I had the QA guys review it, so we can consider it done. It's already completed. Let's check. I know I reviewed this what you did, Danny. So I'm gonna. It's okay. I'm okay with the changes you made. So I'm gonna move it to testing so that the guys at the QA department can take a look. So that's it. Let's get together tomorrow. So obviously that was like representation of what you normally do during a sprint session. I guess that there are a couple of questions about the process. So, if you haven't worked with this, anyone has an idea of what this what the story points represent and why we were like playing with that? Anyone wants to guess?
Yeah, it is a way to represent kind of how much effort or how much difficult the task will be to be done.
Mm-hmm. There's a specific word that you're gonna be hearing during those meetings. I'm gonna type it in here. LOE. Level of effort. That's something you're gonna be hearing a lot. That means how complex this task is. But instead of saying, "Hey, that's gonna take like 2 days or 5 hours, etc., we are working on using what probably it's going to ring a bell. Let me get back to the planning poker. This sequence of numbers rings a bell, reminds you of something from back when you were at the university or working on your first programming tasks or algorithms.
Yeah, it looks like the Fibonacci series.
Exactly, it's a Fibonacci sequence or series. Okay, so it's just like a random set of numbers, well, not random, but the idea is not to have something fixed. It's to avoid thinking in hours or days or how complex this is. There's another option for some other teams prefer to use the t-shirt size instead of those numbers. So it's going to be like extra small, small, medium, large, extra large, just to be able to have an idea. If it's medium, okay, it's not going to be that complex, and that's going to be an agreement with between the team. If it's medium, probably that could take you like 1 one day or a day and a half, something like that. If it's an extra large, yeah, probably that's something that is going to take like 3 days. In this case, we are using the numbers to represent our effort. Normally, at least from the teams I've been working on, 5 is like regular or normal. 8 it's a bit more complicated. 21 is okay. This is something really complicated. Probably it's gonna take me a week to complete. And you'll have this last option, which is like unknown. That's considered to be a spike. Okay, a spike is when you have no idea. So you have to have a different meeting to be able to talk about it and then have a better sense of how complicated that it's going to be. Okay, Danny?
So what happens if a task like the LOE is more than 21, but not this spike?
Well, it could go as far as the whole sprint, like the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that you have for the sprint. It's gonna take you the whole session. If you cannot do it within the sprint, and you are aware of that at the beginning, then probably you need to split that into a smaller tasks. Like, okay, this is too complex. Let's work on creating something way smaller, something that I could finish in a couple days, and then I'll work on the rest of the things that I have. Daniel, I think you had another question.
Yeah, actually, I had the same question. Thank you.
Okay. And yeah, just a note about the spike sessions. Normally, that could take an hour, for example. The sprint, the daily stand-up meeting. Like I said, it's 10 to 15 minutes. It's something quick that we can do every day. A spike session that could be 1 hour, 2 hours, because you have to research, talk with the other guys. Like, okay, how are we gonna do this, and do we need to include a different person on the team? Do we need to get a new service or develop something new? Or should we split this into several sprints? Now, it's a longer discussion. And something else to complete the explanation. At the beginning of the sprint, you also have a sprint planning session. That sprint planning session, that it's gonna be longer, but not that much. Could be 1 hour, 2 hours tops. I think, to be able to go through the whole list. Let's just go ahead and do that. And do that exactly what we did there quickly. Like, hey, let's vote on this task. We're gonna be voting on everything and discussing like what I did. That's the idea with the voting. That, for example, Rosten and me, we have been working on the company for, I don't know, 1 year, and Manuel has been working only 6 months, and he says, hey, that's a 13. I think it's more complicated. And we are able to say no, because we already did that like six months ago, before you got into the company, and we have a lot of functions that you can use, so it's not going to be that complex. Even though he might not be the one doing the actual work, now he has an idea that we have something else built, that we have a structure, that there's a way to solve that. And if he gets assigned to work on that task, he also knows with whom he can talk to, because he's going to remember, hey, I remember we talked about this with the Ivan and Rosten. So one of those guys have to know how to fix this easily. Okay, so that's the idea. You see, that's pretty much the process or the flow when you're working with Scrum. The whole team has an idea of what's going on, what the problems are, and what the possible solutions are. So it's more of a connection, more you create more synergy. Okay. Yep. Go ahead, Rosan.
Yeah, just something that I would like to add is that sometimes in the sprint planning, when when we are defining the times and some these stuffs, well, there you have this scenario, right? When, for example, the company has a kind of limit of time for a task. For example, where I'm working, a task cannot take more than 2 days, right? So if that is the case, and you are assigned of one task of this task that maybe you're gonna take 3 or 4 days, you have to split it. And once you split it, I mean, it's obvious. Maybe two subtasks, and one just take 1 day, and the other one the 2 days left. So, like I said, some enterprises do it, but that is something that you gotta be familiar with.
There's another option that what Rustin said is totally true. You're during that meeting, that's your opportunity to be able to say, hey, this is way more complicated than I thought. I need to split this task so that your manager and the rest of the team are aware of that. Okay, so you catch the problem before it even becomes a real problem. Okay, and the other option, which is completely valid as well, it's to be able to say, hey, I cannot do this, it's too complicated. I like using the example I gave you a couple of minutes ago. Like I've been on in the company only for 3 months, so I have never worked with that. It's gonna take me like a week. But maybe if Rostan does it, he can pull it together like in 1 day because he was the one building that. Let's switch. I'm gonna give that task to him, and I'm gonna take something new. Okay? But that's another aspect of being agile, being able to adapt. Okay, being able to change things and move between the whole team. Go ahead, Omar.
Yes, but this when you split this big task, it should be like tricky or because if, for example, if you need to make an artifact, so you know that it will take to you 5 days, and you split this in two tasks, maybe one of 1 day of 2 days and another one of 2 days more. So what is the difference? Maybe you need to have a better comprehension of all the tasks, or what?
Let's try to work on that. For example, you're telling me that you need to build an artifact that is way too complex. Okay. What are the first steps that you need to take to do that? No matter the programming language, the framework that you're using, you tell me.
Maybe I need to know what the artifact should do. What inputs and outputs will have.
Just with that means we haven't researched enough to be able to create the task even. So that means probably we need to convert that to a spike session to be able to talk between the whole team and say, hey, what do we need to actually build this artifact? Do we need a new database structure? Do we need a new component that it needs to be built by the backend developer? Do we need a new data transformation service? I don't know. So that's the first discussion. If you're unable to say clearly, I understand what's needed for this task, then it needs more discussion. We need to talk about it more. Because the other option is that you're already aware, okay, this is gonna be way too long because I have to do this, and this. You can choose and say, hey, I'm gonna split it into two, and what that achieves, probably it's gonna take also the 5 days, but the first part, if you completed it, you can already deliver that. Remember what I said at the beginning, you have to be able to deliver something, even if it's not the whole thing. What happens after that? Maybe if you get to the point that you say, no, I'm way too slow with this, and I just finished the first part, which was creating the data models. Then the manager can say, okay, no worries. I'm gonna let's take what you did, and we're gonna reassign that to another team member so that he has more experience with that. He's gonna be able to finish that, and I'm gonna give you something else to work on, so that we can keep on moving. Okay, that's one example.
Thank you, Ivan.
Yeah, something that I would like to add is like, I guess from my point of view, is that if you have a task like you said, like it's gonna take more than 2 days, and you start to splitting, it's gonna be more easy even for you to understand it better, and also the team will know what are you doing, and what step are you working right now, right, and why it's taking so long. Right? Because imagine that you're working with a team, you have 4 days in a task, is the 3 day, and in all the sessions that you have for the daily Scrum, you will say, yeah, I'm working on the task. But what are you doing? Right? What gonna be your answer? And because you won't take more than 5 minutes to explain what are you doing, it's much better that the ticket talk for you, I guess.
Yeah,
And the description of the ticket.
and
Okay.
something else. Obviously, the examples we gave had only a tiny description because it was just an example. Normally, you have like a full set of instructions, like, hey, this is going to include this element, and it's going to be tested like this, and it has to be accepted by the user after we can review this, and this. It obviously is going to be quite a long description. Okay? And something else is that you get better with time. Obviously, at the beginning, for any of us, it was like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I think it's gonna be a 5. I think it's gonna be a 2. And after a couple of weeks, you're like, I know that I was completely wrong. That's now I know that's more complex than I thought. It's gonna be an 8 or the opposite. No, that's a 1. That's really simple. That's a 0. 0 is something that takes you like 5 minutes. 5 minutes, like, yeah, that's piece of cake. Just a 0 level of effort. But that comes with time. After you do it over and over, that's the main element, or the main or the key element of the Scrum sessions, to be improving every day in the project, and also you as a team member. Because let's face it, estimations in software development are really complex, are really complicated to achieve. But after you do it like pretty much every week, it becomes easier and easier over time.
In the company that I am working for, they want that you estimate in 2 hours something new that they give you.
And
Maybe
it's
for
very,
QA tasks, or whatever, the development. So
and
you don't understand even all the complete idea. Mhm.
that's the thing. And if you're working in the waterfall model, you're gonna be saying, hey, I'm gonna take 2 months to complete this. Like, and I don't know, once you finish it, it was like, well, this took me a week. But what do I do next? I already have a Gantt chart where I said I'm gonna be working on that for 3 months. That's one of the reasons when we're switching to an agile methodology is a better option. But like I said, it's not like this is perfect. No, it all depends on how your company works, or how the project is structured.
Mhm.
Any other questions or ideas? I don't know if there's anything else that we might have skipped.
Just making quizzes right now. So, what's a spike in Scrum? you have a poll there, just to be clear whether this term is correctly explained. So no votes.
While we wait, let me check if I have something that I could show you from a real screen. Yeah, I think this is safe. This is something I can show you without breaking anything. Oop. This is a real Jira board where you have as you can see, it's almost the same structure. You have the members of the team, you have the task, you have a bit more explanation of what's going on. Let me check something that I could show you without compromising anything. See, like, still you have like the description. You can have documents. You have the person in charge of this. Then the name of the sprint. Like you have, it goes like with a different number. A sprint 4, a sprint 5, a sprint 6, blah blah blah. It moves like that. And then you have the basic elements like requirements gathering. If it's something that you cannot work yet because you need more information, you could have a task with that status in progress, PR review, testing done, etc. So as you can see, it's pretty much the same thing. It's a different tool, but still the same goal. Use for the sake of. Do we have a final result on the poll or not yet?
Well, sorta. So there's a
We have a question made by Carlos. He is asking what could be the output final product of a spike.
Oh, the final product, several tasks or more tasks added to the backlog. That's the most important thing. Whenever there's a discussion about something that needs to be built or needs to be done, you're gonna be adding it here to the backlog because that's your, like I said at the beginning, that's your wish list. Like, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. It doesn't matter if you're gonna be doing it right now or after 2 weeks, 3 months. Doesn't matter. It's gonna be there, waiting until you have the capacity to work on that. It's like a huge to-do list.
okay. So we're having a winner.
Okay, so it seems like we might have to explain a little bit more, but once again, another example. This is another tool. Like I said, there's a bunch of different tools that you could use to handle your Scrum sessions, but most of the times they look almost the same. This is another tool called Giga, but like you can see, it's the same idea. You have different levels. In this case, instead of handling it like by stages, in this case, they are handling it like days. Okay, so well, my backlog is going to be the preparations column, and then you're going to be having like day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. You can make your own process from this. It's just a different way to do it, but it's the same goal at the end. And actually, let me check quickly. I think I could have something to give you. If anyone wants more information about how to work with the Scrum. Okay. So I know it's quite a long journey, but there's a couple free books that I could send your way. We have this. Sorry, came up a bit small. Okay, this is a free book that I could send over for you, just as a basic Scrum understanding, so that you could check all the concepts that are used, and most of the things that I try to explain um, today. And there's also this one. This one you can find it online easily as well. The only difference, which is what makes it a bit more complicated, is that it's mixing two different methodologies, because this one mixes Scrum and XP, which is extreme programming. But the good thing about this is that the author is talking from his experience. Like, hey, this is what we did at our company. This is how we handle the sessions. This is how we estimated, blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of good information, and it's for free. If you search for this book in Google, you're gonna find it. You're gonna be able to download it for free. So it's a good one to get.
Okay, so for those who haven't been in a Scrum session, do you think after this meeting, are you able to just like get it together when working in a remote team? Or would you still like have questions on how the methodology works? We don't bite.
You can give an
Let
honest
me
answer.
Yeah, I have one question regarding of when working with Scrum. I mean, I have used Scrum before. I am using it in the company I work for, and I have used it in my last company. But we always had an issue regarding the risk management, the risk management and the budget management. I mean, so I see you're suggesting to estimate when during the sprint planning. Okay, so during the sprint planning, you are agreeing on the story points for the sprint for the task of the sprint. So that will give you like how much work you will do during that sprint. But for the long run, I mean, most companies or most enterprises, especially when you have like big clients, they all worry about, okay, but how long will I have to support this project? And what are the risks that I will have to face if it takes too long? And what kind of budget do I have to be able to get to the end of this project?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a common issue actually, and there's not a single solution, but the most common one is to try to get like short-term objectives, so that at least you're gonna say, hey, in 6 months I'm gonna be able to deliver this, and that's gonna say require 5 people, so that means the salary of those guys for this time, and that's an average of how much money do you need to get to that point. Obviously, if you are able to deliver more, it's better, but that's like my minimum. That's why there's a lot of talking about the MVP, and it's not the most valuable player. It's the minimum viable product. Okay, so you play with that, saying, "Hey, this is the minimum product or level of development that I'm gonna be able to deliver. If you're okay with that, let's move, and then we can go ahead and plan again." And by the way, there's a lot of combinations. There are some guys that are working like doing a mix between waterfall and Scrum. There's also a Scrumban, which is a mix between Scrum and Kanban. There's a lot of combinations. My recommendation: do not get attached to one single tool. Understand how your company works and what your company needs. Really, that's the real solution. You're gonna be able to adapt after that. Go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, so just to get this clear, what would be, and this is not a question for you, Ivan. This is for the rest of the, and Rustin and Manuel. You are muted for this question. So what could be the correct structure of an answer when the project lead asks you about the status? What would you have to say within this answer? Anyone? Daniel, you are also muted. This is for the new ones who have not worked with this methodology. So what should be the structure of your answer when someone asks you about a status?
First of all, what are you doing now? Then what are you going to do? And your blockers.
Anyone else? Thank you, Joel. Anyone else agrees, disagrees? What would you say? So, Michelle.
It's correct.
Michelle,
It's correct.
what's your status?
Sorry?
What's your status? What would you answer? Let's say you're in the project, building X thing. What should you say? What should you answer?
Oh, I work with Scrum, okay. Little Kanban. I like about a extreme program, pair program idea. Okay, I like this because we can share skills maybe about the project. Okay, because if one program left the company, we know lost. Okay, maybe sorry by my English.
Oh, no. It's okay. It's very good. So everything that you said, it's very important, when remote working. Right now, after this session, if someone asks you, what's your status on X project? Like, let's say whatever project.
On the daily Scrum.
On the daily stand-up, what should you answer? Your answer should contain 3 main things. What are these?
I don't know. Sorry.
No, it's okay. We're actually, that's why this space is for. Because in these daily stand-ups, you would need to state, like Joel said, what are you working on? Right? The second important thing is if you have a blocker or a roadblock, whatever word you choose. So this is specifically something that's preventing you from completing your task. It may be that information is missing. It may be that you don't understand something, or you're waiting on someone else to complete that assignment because you could be blocked by someone else's task. So this is the second thing. And the third thing, what could it be? You mentioned the task you're working on, the status, right? If you have a blocker or not. And what's the third thing?
Okay, today I am lost. Sorry, I'm lost.
I'm going to repeat it. Okay.
Please.
Of course. So, Joel, you said you would answer the task that you are working on and the blocker that you would have when you are assigned a task, right? So the project lead in every project is going to ask you on a daily stand-up your status. Is that understood? You're going to have daily stand-ups, daily meetings about your status. In these meetings, you're going to have to report or give a report to your team lead what you are working on, and if you have a roadblock, if something is preventing you from getting that task done. But there's a third thing that you also mentioned in this daily stand-up. What is that third thing?
Okay, I understand, but Ivan, oh, sorry. Oh, can I just listen today? I can, please. My mind is lost. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Don't actually I do want to get this message across for everyone. If I have to repeat it 10 times, I will. That's my job. So my mistake is maybe I'm not getting the message across. So I'm the one who should be apologizing.
Okay.
So during every meeting you have with a team member or your boss, you always keep this in mind. You have to give an answer about what you're doing right now, what happened that may block you performing that task, and what you're going to do to solve it. So those are the three basic things you should always answer when someone asks you about a status, your status. So is this clear? Is it better explained?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know if you're there, Vanderson and Roberto, but if you got this, just let me know.
Maybe next answer for me. Okay.
So
other guy answer for me.
But is it clear to you, Michelle? I'm sorry, I'm not pronouncing your name right.
Okay, no problem.
Michel.
Michelle.
In Portuguese is Michel.
Michelle. Oh, thank you, Anderson. Michelle. You see, I'm going to repeat it again and again until I get it right. Michelle.
Okay. you are talk about the daily, okay, stand-up meets, okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, see, I know about this. Have a three question, okay. You did it yesterday, okay. If I have block about a task, okay, and I will you do it today, okay.
Yes. What? That's perfect, Michelle. Michelle. Yes, Michelle. Yes, I got it right as
Thank for your passion.
well. Yes. So
Very
every
good, Daniela.
so every time someone
Congratulations.
asks you about what you're doing, you should answer what you're working on, what happened, right? Because this could mean someone prevented you from completing the task. And what are you going to do to solve it? Yes, we got this.
Yeah, if I can add something,
Yes.
don't get stressed out. The idea of these sessions is to be able to help you. I know it's gonna be complicated sometimes, and you're gonna get frustrated, like, "Ah, I don't know what to say, or I don't know the right word." Just relax and try to explain it with the basic words, like what a child would do. Like, hey, the thing that it goes on top of the other thing that looks doesn't matter. If we understand the idea, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm. And you just did that, Michelle. So perfect. Vanderson, go ahead.
Okay. I can share YouTube video with Michelle from speaking and daily meetings. Is okay for
Yeah,
all.
sure.
Yep, sure.
Go ahead.
I passed in the chat.
Yes.
Is
Thank.
is this guy is a Brazilian guy, and his explanation about how do you say how speaking in daily meetings. Um, I I I I guess I guess interesting because it's very simple and directly off the point.
Yes.
That's
Thank
it.
you, Vanderson.
Thank you.
So one last question. How much time does a daily stand-up last?
10 to 15 minutes.
Yes. Now you should be muted, Michelle. Let someone else answer.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So, Vanderson, is this YouTube? I don't want to just click it right now. I'm going to save it. I may share it in Slack as well. So thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So, is there any other question?
Now, I would like to ask to anybody, what is the purpose, or what is the meaning of the sense of you telling in daily meetings what are your blockers? What is the sense of that?
Yeah, the
I,
purpose.
I am making a question like you did.
Mm-hmm.
I know the answer, but maybe somebody can tell something like that. An answer. No.
Why you can tell if you want any problem.
Yeah. So in
Yeah.
that way, somebody in the team could
Yes.
help.
So Omar
Because
is,
somebody can help you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes. And also because maybe your boss or the project lead is not aware of this roadblock you have. So the project lead would be asking you, why haven't you completed this task? And
Yes.
may not know about different kind of like things or decisions you've made to solve it, but you don't have maybe a support team there, or that something's preventing you. So it could help, like you all said, you would have someone giving you an answer to help you, but also it could be helpful for your project lead to know you are facing these roadblocks
Mhm.
of something you cannot control.
And normally for us it's difficult because the culture that among we are living um, uh, would would uh, would would understand bad what you if you want to say what is your blocker. For example, I can say my blocker is that I need something that for example Anna should give me. She told me that she will talk with the customer, the client, and I need this answer for that I can understand the complete idea for that I can solve my task. But telling this in for example in my country or here in Ecuador is difficult because your partner, your coworker will say that Omar is not is a bad person. He is all the time exposing us. So I think it's difficult in this culture, and
Yes,
I wanted to share
yes.
this
And thank you
because
for sharing. It's
yes.
true.
Mhm.
And we all should keep in mind that working as a team doesn't mean we have to do the other person's work. And this is important to know, because if I do other people's job, I stop doing mine. And when I stop doing mine, then I get a poor performance review. So it's, and thank you for bringing this up, Omar, because it's really important to state boundaries in your work. And maybe a good way to solve this when a team member is not supporting you, just go ahead and talk directly, privately to your team member. And if that doesn't work, approach to your project lead, because your project lead would be the one to help you get this task done. And in that way, you won't be like pushing, what's the expression here? When you throw someone into the bus, that's the expression. So in that way, you won't throw that person in front of everyone, that person is not doing the job. So this could be a solution there. And you may not be seen as a bad person, and you would be seen like a responsible one for wanting to get your tasks done. Rustan, and then Daniel.
Yeah, just I just want to apologize, guys. I need to to leave the meeting. I have something else to do, and just bring up. So I just want to say thank you for being here, and again, sorry for it, but
It's okay. Thank you, Rostan.
let me
Thank you
know
for
if
your sharing.
no worries. If you need me, you know that I'm Slack, so feel free to reach me. I will happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye,
Rostan.
guys.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Daniel, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, sorry. I
Now
just think of a question from your experience, Ivan, and from the experience of Manuel in the company that you have worked with from the USA. Um, so according to the Scrum framework or to the Scrum methodology, the Scrum Master does not have to mandatory be the tech leader. So those could be like separate person with different roles, and each one has its own responsibilities. Okay, so but there are companies that always tends or that usually tends to assign that the same function or the same person to do both roles, both technical leader and scrum master, and even sometimes some like product owner functions and stuff like that. But leaving the product owner role aside, how I'm just focusing on scrum master and technical lead, how does the company that you have worked with um, operate in that matter? How do they handle it?
I'll have seen different ways to handle it, but the technical leader should never be the scrum master. That's a bad idea in general. Um, Normally, actually, the scrum master should be someone that it's not on the technical side, that it's mostly overviewing the business aspect of things. It's someone who it's gonna be able to negotiate with the owners, either of the company or the project, to be able to say, hey, you want this, but we don't have the capacity to do it, or it's going to be more expensive or more complicated than we thought at first. What can we do to change that? We could offer you something smaller, or we could create a different version of the product that you want. And a technical lead, it's not going to be able to do that. In the cases where I've seen technical leaders also handling the Scrum sessions and being the Scrum masters, they end up completely burnt out and mixing things and very confused. So no, it's not a good idea.
So you can say that this doesn't happen in the company that you have worked with from the USA.
Out of 4 companies, only 1. And after a couple months, the guy said, oh, goodbye, I cannot do this. And they had to hire 2 different new people because then they understood, okay, this is not working. We need to do something about it.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Just to know, my answer is some similar. So
Thank
I
you,
have
Manuel. Yeah, thank
that
you.
experience. Okay.
yes. So probably if the technical lead is the Scrum Master, then there are not enough, or there are a lot of backlogs. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's end this meeting. It's been really a pleasure, and thank you everyone for being so patient and very supportive for each people in this room. Yes, Daniel.
Yes, Daniela. I have another question, but it is not regarding Scrum. But since Monsi said in Slack that Ivan and Rostan and Manuel were able to share their experience and give us some tips or some advice, I thought maybe I could just do the question here. It's regarding it's regarding the salary negotiation. Will it be right to just do the question, throw the question?
Yeah. So just let me. If anyone else wants to, still joining the conversation, you're welcome to. If you have other responsibilities you have to attend, just don't mind us. Go. Your family is important as well. Your other things are important as well. So don't feel bad if you have to leave. And other than that, thank you very much for joining us. I hope I see you, Michelle, once more. And well, Roberto, Omar, Vanderson, and Joel, thank you so much.
So
And
you're saying
Thanks,
bye.
Daniela.
Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
I wanted to stay and you say goodbye. No, I'm joking.
You
No,
can
no.
stay. You can
I
stay.
am joking. I am joking. Thank you, Daniela. Thank you, Ivan.
See you
Have a
soon.
nice weekend and holiday.
Yes.
Okay.
You
See
too,
you,
Vanderson.
Anderson, the
Thank
next
you.
week in English camp. See you.
See you. See you.
Yeah.
Goodbye, guys.
Okay. Just Danielle, let me stop the session. We don't want your question to be live.